Welcome, focus learners, to this explainer. Okay, so did you know that recent surveys suggest nearly 80% of us experience burnout at work or at home? And a huge reason for that is because we actually feel incredibly guilty when we finally stop. Well, today we're exploring a really profound allegory that answers a question we all wrestle with on a daily basis: exactly why rest restores our inner light. We're drawing our insights today from this beautiful, gentle narrative called The Little Star Who Learned to Rest. Now, on the surface, sure, it might read like a simple children's tale, but underneath, oh man, it is an absolute masterclass in understanding the strict necessity of taking a pause in a world that just constantly demands our energy.
Okay, let's dive into this. Are you afraid your light will disappear if you stop? Seriously, take a second and ask yourself if that rings true for you. Because how often do we push ourselves to the point of absolute literal exhaustion just because we secretly harbor this exact fear? It's that creeping anxiety that if you hit pause, if you stop producing or managing or caring for every single thing around you, your value, your light is just going to somehow vanish. It's the classic burnout trap, and it is exactly what this source material tackles head-on.
So, to explore this, the text introduces us to our central character. Meet Lumi. She's a tiny star who lives high above a quiet little village. And Lumi, well, she perfectly embodies that exact modern anxiety we just talked about. See, she was utterly convinced that the whole sky needed her to stay awake. She genuinely felt like the weight of the entire night rested on her tiny shoulders. Sound familiar? Right, it's that deeply relatable feeling we get when we believe the world, our workplace, or even just our household will completely fall apart if we dare to step away from our responsibilities for even a single second.
Section 1. The Burden of Constant Shining.
To really understand this burden, the story tells us that every single night, Lumi tried to shine brighter than all the other stars. She would whisper to herself, "I must keep shining. The whole sky needs me." And wow, this quote is so powerful because it perfectly mirrors that overwhelming, relentless mental checklist we all keep running in our heads when we refuse to rest. It's that loud inner voice telling us that our constant output is mandatory, that our presence is literally the only thing holding the sky up.
And this brilliantly illustrates the trap of hypervigilance. Lumi wasn't just shining, right? She was watching the moon, she was watching the clouds, and she was watching the peaceful village down below. It's almost absurd when you really think about it. I mean, she was trying to manage and observe things that were already doing just fine on their own. She was totally trapped in this cycle of constant, exhausting observation, just pouring her energy out into the void because she felt responsible for absolutely everything in her field of vision.
So, why did she do it? Well, when the moon finally notices how tired she is and asks her why she doesn't just get some rest, Lumi reveals her core fear. I'm afraid that if I stop shining, someone might miss my light. This right here is the absolute crux of the issue. The root of her exhaustion, and actually, scratch that, often ours too, is the deep-seated worry that our worth just disappears the second we aren't actively being useful. We basically equate our constant shining with our fundamental value as a person.
Section 2. The Paradox of Rest and a Change in Perspective.
The moon smiles so gently at the tired little star and delivers this absolutely vital piece of wisdom. Even the brightest stars need to rest. Honestly, it is such a massive relief to hear this because it just completely removes the guilt. It acknowledges Lumi's brightness, her capability, and her value, but it firmly establishes that rest is definitely not a sign of weakness or dimness. It's a fundamental requirement, for sure, even for the absolute best and brightest among us.
Then, the moon completely shatters Lumi's core fear by explaining the paradox of rest. Rest does not make your light disappear, it helps your light grow stronger. Now, this is the critical shift in mindset the source material really wants us to grasp. Stopping doesn't diminish your value. Paradoxically, the very act of stepping back, closing your eyes, and just letting go is the exact mechanism that amplifies your ability to shine later. It's like a battery. You have to plug it in and do nothing for a bit so it can work at full power again.
Section 3. Restoring Inner Light and Letting Go to Recharge.
So Lumi thinks about the moon's words and looks down at the village, and the text uses this beautiful, really vivid sensory language to describe what she sees. The village is completely peaceful, the children are already sleeping, the trees are just moving softly in the night breeze, and there's this little river making a quiet, soothing sound. These peaceful cues from the world around her, the realization that, hey, the world is safely spinning and sleeping without her having to force it, they finally give Lumi the permission she needs to slowly close her tired eyes.
And the transformation is just undeniable. Before her rest, Lumi was so tired, anxious, and deeply afraid to stop. But after she allows herself to sleep, while the moon watches over her, morning arrives. And the text notes that Lumi woke up feeling lighter and brighter than ever before. The moon's advice was 100% right. The rest didn't extinguish her at all. It fully restored her inner light.
Which brings Lumi, and us really, to the source text's most vital realization. You don't have to keep going every moment. Sometimes the absolute best thing you can do is simply close your eyes, breathe slowly, and rest. It's not some kind of compromise or failure. It's an active, profoundly positive choice for your own overall well-being.
From that point on, Lumi adopts a totally new, balanced routine. She shines for a while, doing her part, and then she peacefully falls asleep beneath the gentle moon. And here is the beautiful kicker to the whole story. Because Lumi finally rested, the whole sky actually seemed a little more peaceful. Her healthy boundaries, her balanced routine of shining and sleeping didn't just help her, it genuinely made her environment better. It totally mirrors how our own willingness to rest actively benefits everyone around us.
Section 4. Your turn to breathe and applying the lessons.
You have done enough for today. Man, that is a powerful, beautifully blunt rule straight from the source. It is essentially the ultimate permission slip to release whatever burdens you are still carrying around from the hours you've just worked through. You've shined enough. The text actually gives us this beautifully simple, 4-step wind-down process to help us transition from constant shining to restorative sleep. First, let your thoughts become quiet. Just release the need to plan. Second, let your body become comfortable wherever you are sitting or lying down. Third, take one slow breath in. And fourth, slowly breathe out. It is the perfect physical and mental reset. As the text soothingly reminds us as it comes to a close, the day is finished. For now, there is nothing you need to do. Just rest. Just breathe. Let yourself drift gently into that peace, knowing that the sky is perfectly fine and your light is completely safe. The story concludes with the gentle reminder that tomorrow will come when it is ready. And so I leave you with this final thought. When tomorrow does arrive, will you have permitted yourself the time to recharge? Will you be rested enough to meet it with your absolute brightest light? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and most importantly, remember to rest.